When the S24 was announced, their all-new Galaxy AI was front and centered, and it's no shocker that AI has been the buzzword for tech in the past few years, and it's only increasing. Apple did the same thing with their announcements back in July at WWDC, and the iPhone 16 being the first iPhone built from the ground up with AI in mind. The S24 Ultra to me is the closest thing to perfection for a phone. There is not a portion of the phone that I wish was any different. The build is amazing. The phone's design is very eye-catching. The materials used feel very premium and robust. And then that anti-glare display. Yeah, it's absolutely great. The iPhone 16 Pro Max has seen a few changes. Number one, it has a bigger display now. And to get that, they shrunk the bezels even more, leaving you with a better screen to body ratio than the S24 Ultra, which is very impressive. They added a new camera control button and a few other under the hood changes that we haven't seen in a while. We also have a new camera system, and we also can do 4K at 120. In the hand, I love both phones, and for me, it's hard to pick which phone I like better. They're both bigger phones, which requires two hands to use them for the most part, but they're both comfortable phones to hold. They both are built with aluminum and titanium, giving both phones strength, but also decreasing weight in compared to when they didn't have titanium. The S24 feels like a big block square, and the iPhone is more rounded, which actually does fit better in the hand if I had to nitpick and choose one. Just because it's a little bit more comfortable, the iPhone wins on this category. But this definitely could have gone either way. Both phones also do feature a few unique things. So the iPhone has the action button. We've seen this last year, but kind of a refresher that it's a button allowing you to program it to do different things. Think about it as like a catch-all button. It can be as simple as turning on a flashlight, or you could take it even further and use shortcut commands and build a whole script for it to run with the press of a button. I truly haven't tapped into what the action button can truly do, but I've seen some pretty crazy examples online. There's also a brand new camera control button, and this button allows you to quick launch the camera. But it does more than that, in fact. And by me calling it a button is kind of underplaying what it truly is, since you can half press, you can do swipe, you can use it to zoom in and out, you can take a photo, go through settings, and to be honest, outside of taking photos with it, it's pretty cumbersome to use, and it's something that I don't like to use outside of launching the camera and having a quick capture button. Now, if I am using it in the horizontal mode, then yeah, zooming in and out is pretty easy, but beyond that, fiddling with settings, it's not that easy to use in my opinion. The S24 Ultra has the S Pen built into the phone, and being honest, I do not use the S Pen as much as I think I could be using it. But it's extremely powerful, and with every version, it gets more and more powerful. Now, I do love the screen off memo where you can pull out the S Pen and start writing on the screen, even without turning it on. This is definitely not a new thing, but that is how I use the S Pen the most. It also could be used to control the camera, and it has came in clutch for me a few times when taking a group photo and I just had the S Pen in the hand and I was snapping photos, which was pretty cool. There's also an extra button, which was like a Bixby button before, but now it can be used to do different things. To turn this on, you go to Settings, Advanced Features, and Side button. And from here, you can customize this action. So this isn't like a one-to-one comparison to the action button, but in this app and also third-party apps, you can customize this button to sort of give you the same flavor as the action button. There is not an answer for the camera control button, but I'm sure we'll see something like that on the S25. I'm really sure actually, so mark my words on that one. Performance-wise, the S24 Ultra is an absolute beast. It's consistent, it's fast, and it does not overheat. It's honestly the most dependable phone that is out there. The iPhone 16 Pro Max is still a bit newer, but so far I'm feeling the same vibes as I do with the S24 Ultra. Where the iPhone 15 got pretty hot, the newer thermals on the 16 Pro and the new chip does make a difference, and I can already tell. I do think these cameras are good enough to actually be your main camera for a YouTube channel. I'm on video portrait mode on the S24 and I'm on cinematic here on the iPhone. So while we're doing this camera test, I'm gonna tell you about today's sponsor, Taurus. Meet the O-Stand 360 spin case, designed to keep up with your life and your phone. One case, 4 functions. Whether you're streaming your favorite content or taking that perfect picture, or just staying productive, this case has your back. MagSafe compatibility keeps everything connected, while the upgraded 360 stand offers hands-free use from every angle. It's not just stylish, this case offers protection you can trust, with a 12-foot drop-proof security, raised edges for added safety, and a comfortable hand feel with its grainy leche textured body. You can find this case in different colors, and also you can get it in transparent to show off the natural color of your phone. Go to their website and check out all of the options. And for those who wants that ultimate protection, like I do, the Glasgow X screen protector has you covered, and it's made for iPhone 16 and its smaller bezels. It's a two-step installation, snap-on process. It provides 100% coverage and military-grade scratch protection. With tourist accessories, your iPhone won't only look amazing, it'll be functional and protected. What more could you want? I use both phones as my content devices. So that means I'm shooting, I'm editing, I'm posting. The S24 I find does more background tasks where I can be uploading a file or a new video and go to a different app and it will still post in the background. Where on the iPhone, it pauses the app and it doesn't upload or does at a very slow pace, which actually makes me slower on the iPhone when it comes to getting stuff done. The iPhone does have more creative apps and more professional camera apps, which are a part of my workflow when I'm doing professional shooting. And the S24 does have access to pro apps, but I feel they fall short compared to what I'm used to on the iPhone. But for most people, performance on both devices will be very similar and not one is like faster than the other. They both are absolutely great. The only difference will be app selection and obviously whatever ecosystem you're part of. If you care about benchmarks, I don't. The A18 chip has a higher raw performance than what we're seeing with the S24 Ultra. A18 Pro is also a newer chip compared to the nearly year-old chip that we have here on the S24 Ultra. Now, gaming on the S24 might be the best on Android. Any game you have access to on Android, it will run perfectly. You can even natively run on Xbox Game Pass, which is fun if you're on good Wi-Fi and literally expands what games you could play on your device. I've played plenty of games for hours on this phone, and the only game that was overheating the phone was the Genshin Impact, and that game isn't well optimized. Everything else runs absolutely great on this phone, and the big screen, the nice speakers, makes for a great experience. With that being said, on the iPhone 16, the Pro Edition, gaming is just a better experience. Apple has partnerships with game developers, and it's not solely because of hardware, but it's because they bring their games to iOS only. For gamers, it's a bit unfair to be relegated to iOS for some of the games, like the Resident Evil series and Assassin's Creed. Those are AAA titles with great performance that feels like you're on a console when you use a controller like I'm using here with this backbone. You also have Apple Arcade, which has exclusive games behind this paywall. Honestly, for Apple users who don't mind paying for a gaming subscription service, I will say it's great. But for comparing gaming on both devices, it does make it pretty tough, as these games can push the limits on what iOS has, whereas a lot of these Android games are not really pushing the limits on what the S24 Ultra can do. Galaxy AI was the big talking point for the S24 Ultra and also the folding phones too. And if you want to know what all it can do, I did demos in my full review, so be sure to check that out, linked down below. Now, Circle to Search isn't exclusive to the Galaxy, but it's a feature first announced on the Galaxy S24. You could take photos of something, or you can have a photo and press and hold on the home button, and then you can circle what you see and it will search it for you and pretty much tell you where it's at or what it is. Also, we have some of the best language translations around. There's a live translation that would do a phone call and translate in real time, supporting up to 13 languages and 17 dialects. We can also do this face-to-face split screen, seeing both languages translation. There's also generative AI for photo editing, where you can draw something into a photo and AI will add it to the photo, which is pretty cool, but I haven't found a real use case for it. And also writing assistant tools and so much more. It's an impressive suite focused on things that are practical and a lot of language translations, which can come in handy if you're traveling between countries often, which I'm really not doing. With the iPhone, well, we won't officially see it until later this year. These phones are built for AI, but AI isn't ready for the phones yet. Now, I've played with it in a beta capacity until it's fully fleshed out. I won't give comments on it just yet because, yeah, when you play with something in beta, you're not getting that full experience, and I don't want to judge something that's been out for 6 months versus something that's not out just yet. Camera-wise, if we are staring at specs, then you'll say the S24 Ultra dominates the iPhone. It has a 200 megapixel primary camera sensor compared to 48 on the iPhone. 100x space zoom compared to 30. Looking at specs, you're gonna see a big difference. But for me, it's not about that. It's about which camera can snap the best photo when you need it, when your kid or your dog or your whatever is doing that cute thing. How fast can you grab that photo? But if you do care about specs, here you go. Feel free to pause the video, but let's dive into these camera samples. Side by side, both cameras are great. They have fantastic dynamic range and similar details. I'm comparing these cameras out of the box, but they both have different filters and modifications that you can change the look and make them look completely different whenever you want. The ultra wide is sharp on both cameras, but I do feel the zoom lenses capture more detail on the Galaxy S24. Both cameras have good macro, but I think there's more detail on this iPhone, especially this shot right here. For me, when looking at both these cameras, if zoom is very important, then you're gonna pick the S24. But if you just want an all-around good camera, both cameras are exceptional cameras in general. For video, the iPhone is a bit more clean, it has more color, and just overall appeals more to my eye. Here we are, guys, front-facing camera, same thing. We got this fountain behind me here, and I just want to know how the audio picks up very well. I'm actually really impressed with the S24 Ultra's camera, and their microphones are really good, so I'm interested to see how this one pans out. Okay, iPhone, same scenario. Let's see if the new microphones are worth anything before we do audio mixing. Audio mixing is a great feature, but I do want to know how well it sounds out of the cameras, drowning out all this background sound here. The S24 Ultra has the best battery life on a flagship phone for me, easily getting me over 24 hours on a lighter day. On a maxed out full busy day with travel and all that stuff, I still go to bed with a comfortable battery percentage. So far with the 16 Pro Max, it's matching the S24 Ultra. Just a few days ago, I was on a golf trip and I played 2 rounds of golf with the GPS app on, streaming music, and I went out to dinner afterwards and still came back to the hotel with roughly 30% of battery. I didn't think about battery one time during this trip, which is absolutely saying a lot. Compared to the 15, well, I can get through a round of golf and some music, and then I'm pretty much looking for a charger at that point. We do have faster charging on the S24 Ultra, giving us 45 watt charging speed. So that means if you plug it in for 30 minutes, you get 69% battery. Nice. You also have 15 watt wireless charging, which is a good option for passive charging like at a desk or on a nightstand. The iPhone charges to 50% in 30 minutes of charging. It also does charge up to 30 watts with the new MagSafe charger, which charges the phone at the same speed as it being plugged in, which is really impressive. And then we come to price. The S24 Ultra is now at the middle of its life, and you can find it at a decent price on eBay or Swappa. When it first came out, it was actually $100 more than the iPhone. So value-wise, the iPhone is actually a better value, which saying value and iPhone in the same sentence seems a bit weird, but when you compare the two, $100 cheaper, better value. Ultra is still the best phone, bar none. Where the iPhone can catch up is once the AI stuff comes out, and if it could truly live up to the promises, yeah. But as of this video, the S24 Ultra wins. There's not a weak point on this phone. And even when I compare it to the brand new iPhone, I appreciate the S24 Ultra even more for things that it can actually still do and still compete on, which is pretty good. Now, if you want to see how the iPhone 16 compares to the Pixel 9, I've already did that video. Click right here to check it out. Kevin the Tech Ninja, and take care.